Shiru l'Adonai, shiru shir chadash, shiru l'Adonai kol haaretz, shiru l'Adonai, shiru shir chadash, shiru l'Adonai kol haaretz, shiru l'Adonai barechu shemo, basru miyom liyom yeshuato, shiru l'Adonai barechu shemo, basru miyom liyom yeshuato, shiru l'Adonai, shiru shir chadash, shiru l'Adonai kol haaretz, shiru l'Adonai, shiru shir chadash, shiru l'Adonai kol haaretz. Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom. Shabbat shalom,
Boker
Kenner.
tov to you.
Boker tov, Kenner Shaket. Shabbat shalom and welcome to our congregation, the family of Celia who are here to celebrate as she becomes Bat Mitzvah here in the midst of family and friends. We're so happy that we have a congregation in the sanctuary, distanced appropriately from one another. And we're so happy that all of you who are visiting and participating with us through the live stream and through Zoom. We have multiple platforms happening in parallel. We're thrilled you're all here, and we hope you'll feel comfortable participating in our service. Help us out.
Well, one of the ways you can do that, especially for the people on Zoom and on streaming, is to follow with an electronic version of our prayer book. I noticed that our Zoom host has now put the link to our prayer book in the Zoom chat. You can click on that and it'll open up so you can follow along. And if you're watching on our streaming, right above the picture that you see us here in the sanctuary, there's a little blue icon of the prayer book. Just click on that, it'll open up and you can follow along. When Celia or we give the page numbers, we want you to participate here in the sanctuary. Please join us in full voice, although masked, but please join us in full voice so we know that you're with Celia and with us.
And before we turn to that very prayer book, and before we invite Celia to be our service leader today in her status as Bat Mitzvah, it's our custom here at Rosh Shalom to pause at this moment in the service to invite parents to have a little huddle with their child, to speak words of love and pride. So Lisa and Tyler, won't you stand with Celia and take a private family moment? To all of us who are here in the sanctuary, we too prepare now for worship in our own individual way and listen to some inspiring music to help get us there.
Lechi lach, to a land that I will show you. Lech lecha, to a place you do not know. Lechi lach, on your journey I will bless you, and you shall be a blessing. You shall be a blessing. You shall be a blessing. Lechi lach. So we've come to the first part of our service where Celia will help us lead this part of our service. I'm going to invite Celia to come forward, but all of us to rise. At home, if you're comfortable rising, you may do so. We are on page 195, and we begin with the singing of the Baruch Hu, the call to worship. Yai lai lai, yai lai lai lai, yai lai 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 lai. Yai lai lai, yai lai lai lai, yai lai 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 lai. Yai lai 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 lai, yai lai 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 lai. Yai lai 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 lai, yai lai 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 lai. Baruch hu et את אדוני המבורך. ברוך אדוני המבורך לעולם ועד. Celia, continue on page 195.
Please join me in Yotzer Or if you're comfortable with the Hebrew. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, Yotzer Or uvorei hoshech, osei shalom uvorei et hakol. Hameir la'aretz veladarim aleha berahamim. Uvtuvo mehadesh behol yom tamid, ma'aseh v'reishit. Marabu ma'aseha Adonai kulam behochma asita. Malaha aretz kinyaneha. Titbarach Adonai Eloheinu al shevach ma'aseh yadeha. Ve'al me'orei or she'asita yefaharu ha'selah. Or hadash al tzion ta'ir. Venizke kulanu mehera le'oro. Baruch atah Adonai Yotzer hame'orot. Our service continues on page 198 with the first paragraph of Ahava Rabbah. Please join me. Ahava Rabbah Avtanu Adonai Eloheinu Hemla Gidola Vitera Hemalta Aleinu Bavor Avotenu Ve'imotenu Shabbat Hulvecha Vatlam Dame Hukei Hayim Kain Tehonenu Ulam Denu Hamrahem Malenu Ventain Beli Benu Lehavin Ulehazkiel Lishmoa Lilmod Ulelamed Lishmor Velahasot Ulekayem Et Kol Divrei Talmud Torah Teha Be'ahava. We continue in English responsively on the next page. O God, inspiration and guide for all, you have spoken in 1,000 tongues for us to hear. In every land and every age, your children have heard you and imagine you in separate ways. And yet, O God, you are one unifier of humanity.
We give thanks for the sages and teachers who bring us understanding of your will. Gratefully we recall the lawgivers and prophets, the psalmists and sages of Israel, and joyfully we remember that from the dawn of Israel's life, we would turn to you and find purpose.
May the teachings of our ancestors live on in our minds, and their passion for righteousness stir in our hearts. Help us to live so that our daily conduct reveals the beauty and wisdom of your truth. Baruch atah Adonai, aboher be'amo Yisrael be'ahava.
Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Leolam Vaed.
Please be seated. Please join me as we chant Ve'ahavta together on page 201. Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha V'hol levavecha uv'hol nafshecha uv'hol me'odeha V'hayu hadevarim ha'ele asher anohi mitzaveha Hayom al levaveha Shinantam levaneha Vidibartam bam V'shivteha b'veiteha, uvlechtecha v'derech, uv'shokbeha uvkuha, ukshartam le'ot al yadeha, v'hayu letotafot bein eineha, uktavtam al mezuzot be'eteha, uvishareha. Leman tiskeru va'asiten et kol mitzvotai. Hitam irshim lelolehem. Ani Adonai Elohehem. Asher hotzeti etem me'eretz Mitzrayim. Lehiot lahem lelohim. Ani Adonai Elohehem. Please join me in the English. Love Adonai your God with every heartbeat, with every breath, with every conscious act. Keep in mind the words I command you today. Teach them to your children. Talk about them at work, whether you are tired or you are rested. Let them guide the work of your hands. Let them in the forefront of the vision. Do not let them at the doorway of your house or outside your gate. They are reminders to do all of my mitzvot, so that you can be holy for God. I am Adonai your God. I led you out of Egypt to become your God. I, Adonai, am your God. Page 203. Sing the song of men and women, joined in understanding and respect. The song of God's miracles and earth protected and cherished. A gift for our children and the generations to come. The song of a land once ravished by war, now quiet and content, her soldiers home to leave no more. The song of a world redeemed, the song of peace.
Thank you, Celia. You can have a seat, and we join together in the singing of Mi Chamocha on page 204. Mi Chamocha Boilim Adonai, mi kamocha nedar b'kodesh, norat hilot osei fele, norat hilot osei fele. שירה חדשה שיבחו גאולים לשמך על שפת הים יחד כולם הודו וימלכו והמלכו ואמרו אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד. יאי לי, יאי לי, 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 יאי לי, 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 יאי לי, יאי לי, 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 יאי לי, 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 לי. So Yisrael, Kuma Besrat Yisrael, Ufedechinu Mecha Yehuda veYisrael, Goaleinu Adonai Tzvaot Shemo, Kedosh Yisrael, Baruch Atah Adonai, Kal Yisrael. On page 205, you'll find the second part of our service, the Tefillah, the main portion of our prayer section of our service. Please rise as we join together in the first few pages. Adonai sefatai tiftach, ufi yagid tehilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu v'Elohei avotenu v'imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Velohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Velohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol Hagibor Vehanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, V'konei Hakol, V'zocher Chasdei Avot V'imaot, Umevi Geula Livnei V'neihem, Lema'an Shemo Be'ahava, Melech Ozer U'Moshia U'Magen, Baruch Atah Adonai, Magen Avraham Ve'ezrat Sarah. On page 207, let's read together in the English. You are the open door that beckons me in. Peeking around the doorframe, I begin to enter into your glory. You move me forward, O Eternal, to step beyond self-made boundaries. Lift my foot over the threshold that I might abide with you. In the house of the Eternal, I found my questions. Waiting to be posed, they filled me with wonder. Sit with me, Eternal Teacher, encourage my seeking. As I fill my hours with your mitzvot, so shall I be filled. Send me through your door stretching up to honor your name, sharing out this wonder, enriching myself in the giving. Baruch atah Adonai, mehayeh hakol. Blessed are you, Adonai, who gives life to all. The Kedusha, we continue in song, page 208. Nekadesh et shimcha ba'olam, keshem shemakdishim oto bishmei marom, kakatuv al yad neviecha, v'kara ze ve'amar, kadosh, 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 Adonai tzevaot, meloch ol haaretz, kevodo. Adir, adirenu Adonai, Adonenu ma'adir shimcha bechol haaretz. Baruch kevod Adonai mimkomo. Echad hu Eloheinu, hu Avinu, hu Malkeinu, hu Moshienu, ve'hu Yashmienu, berachamav le'nei kol chai. Ani Adonai Elohechem, yimloch Adonai le'olam, Eloi Tzion, ledor vador, Hallelujah. Ledor vador nagidod lecha, ulenetzach netzachim kedushatcha nakdish, v'shivchacha Eloheinu mipinu lo yamush, leolam. Vaed, Baruch atah Adonai, Ha'el HaKadosh.
To all generations we will make known your greatness, and to all eternity proclaim your holiness. Your praise, O God, shall never depart from our lips. Blessed are you, Adonai, the holy God. Baruch atah Adonai, Ha'el HaKadosh. Won't you please be seated? And the next set of prayers in our prayer book shine a spotlight on the beauty, the wonder, the specialness of Shabbat, a day for us to enjoy one another, relationships, to lift up each other, and to rest from the busyness of our lives so that we can invest in the world. At the bottom of page 211 is a reading that captures this so wonderfully. The meaning of Shabbat is to celebrate time rather than space. 6 days a week we live under the tyranny of things of space, but on Shabbat we try to become attuned to holiness in time. It is a day on which we are called upon to share in what is eternal in time, to turn from the results of creation to the mystery of creation, from the world of creation to the creation of the world. Baruch atah Adonai, Mekadesh HaShabbat. Indeed, we hope this day will be fulfilling on so many levels. And on the next page, a prayer that acknowledges God's receptivity to the things we need. Ritzei Adonai Eloheinu ba'amcha Yisrael utefilatam ba'ahava tikabel utehi leratzon tamid avodat Yisrael amecha Baruch atah Adonai she'otcha levadcha b'yira na'avod. And as we make our way through this section of the service, we land here at the end on a prayer for peace, the most precious gift of all, shalom. Shalom is peace. Shalom is also wholeness. We sing with a great realization, a knowledge that our world needs both of these. Please join us on page 216, Sim Shalom.
Sim Shalom Tova Uvracha Chen v'chesed v'rachamim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael amecha. Sim shalom tova uvracha chen v'chesed v'rachamim Aleinu, Aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'al kol Yisrael, Amecha.
After that beautiful song of peace, we take a peaceful moment for our own private, our individual prayers.
יהיו לרצון עם רפי, יהיו לרצון עם רפי, והגיון ליבי לפניך, אדוני צורי וגואלי. Oh, may the words of my mouth, the meditations of my heart be acceptable before you, O Lord, my rock and my redeemer. עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל, ואמרו ואמרו אמן. Well, we've come to the most important part of our service, Celia, this morning, where you'll be reading from the Sefer Torah, reading the portion called Amor, and you'll tell us about it in a little bit. It is an exciting moment for you, and I know you've worked very hard to reach this day. We have a number of people here in the sanctuary that are all your community that are supporting you today, but 4 of the most important people in this room, I dare say, are your grandparents. So I want to say mazel tov to your grandparents, Madeline Anbinder and Stephen Anbinder and Arlene Friedenberg and Richard Friedenberg. welcome to you all. Mazel tov to you on reaching this special occasion for Celia. And we'd like to invite the four of you, along with Tyler and with Lisa and Celia, to stand right in front of our bima here, facing the congregation, so that we can pass down to you, Celia, the Torah, the tradition of the Torah that goes from generation to generation. This Torah that you'll be holding is our Carpathian Torah. It comes from the Carpathian Mountains in Romania, and it's 350 years old. It's seen a lot. It's pretty cool. And so you get to hold it too and think about what it means for not only you, but for the Jewish people. And so we all rise now as we invite the family forward as the Torah is presented to Celia. Ein kamocha va'Elohim Adonai, ve'ein kemasecha. Malechutecha malechut kol olamim, u'memshaltecha bechol dor v'dor.
Celia, may you cherish the message of this Torah. It is a guidebook passed down from generations of Jews before you who have kept Judaism alive. We take great pride in this day in your acceptance of the Torah. This responsibility requires strength, knowledge, commitment, and love. Today you have brought these qualities to the Jewish people and therefore are part of the link of the chain of Jewish tradition. May you embrace the Torah your whole life.
Celia, as you hold that Torah and take in its meaning and its traditions, if you'll join us as we all sing together the words of our people, the Shema. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad Echad Eloheinu Gadol Adonenu Kadosh Shemo. Celia, you can pass the Torah back to your dad, who will put it back, and I invite you, along with your mom and your grandparents, Arlene Friedenberg and Stephen Anbinder, to stay with you at the pulpit while everyone else is seated. Lecha Adonai hagedula v'hagevura v'hatiferet v'hanetzach v'chachod ki chol b'shamayim uvaretz ki chol b'shamayim uvaretz lecha Adonai hamamlacha v'amid na'aseh lecha lerosh. Great. Celia, I'm going to have you stand between your mom and dad, and for, if you will, can you tell us what your Torah portion is about, Celia?
The Torah portion for this Shabbat that I will be reading is called Emor. It comes from the book of Leviticus, and my Hebrew reading begins with chapter 23, verse 22. In this portion, the people are told to leave the corners of their field for the poor to pick at harvest times.
And for your first aliyah, Celia, I'm going to invite your grandparents, Arlene Friedenberg and Stephen Anbinder, to lead us in the blessing. Ya amdu ha'olim la'aliyah la'torah. Baruch Adonai Hamvarach Leolam Va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Hamvarach Leolam Va'ed. Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu Melech Olam. Asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim v'natan lanu es Toraso. Baruch Atah Adonai Notein HaTorah.
Amen. So you can begin with the first aliyah.
Amen. Uvkutzrehem et ketzir artzehem lo tehale pe'at sadeha bekutzreha veleket ketzireha lo telakate leoni velager ta'azovotam ani Adonai Elohehem. Vayedaber Adonai el Moshe lemor daber el bnei Yisrael lemor bahodesh hashvi'i be'ehad lahodesh Yeheyeh lahem Shabbaton zichron teruah mikra kodesh kol meleket avodah lo ta'asu v'nikravtem ishe ladonai.
Beautiful job, Celia. Thank you. And now your grandparents can lead us in the blessing after the reading.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torah emet v'chei haolam tzidkenu. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu haTorah.
Amen. Yashikach to you. Arlene and Stephen, you all can have a seat. And now, Celia, for your second aliyah, we invite your sisters Maya and Dina to come forward. Ya ta'am tu la aliyah la Torah.
Baruch et Adonai Hamvarah.
Baruch Adonai Hamvarach leolam va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Hamvarah leolam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bahar banu mikol ha'amim v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten ha'Torah.
Amen.
Amen. Vayedaber Adonai el Moshe lemor be'asor lahodesh hashvi'i hazeh yom hakipurim hu mikra kodesh yeheyeh lahem v'initem et nafshotehem v'nikreta ishe ladonai v'hol Malacha lo ta'asu be'etzem hayom hazeh ki yom kippurim hu lehaper alechem lifnei Adonai Elohehem.
Beautiful job, Celia. And now Maya and Dina.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torah emet v'chayei olam nata b'tochenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten ha'Torah.
Amen. Yashikach to you. And you can have a seat. And now, Celia, for your third aliyah, we get to call you by your Hebrew name for the first time as a bat mitzvah. Ta'amod, ta'amod, ta'amod habachura habat mitzvah. Ariel Pelia bat Esther Malka v'Naftali l'aliyah la Torah chazak. And now you can lead us in the blessings.
Baruch et Adonai Hamavarah.
Baruch Adonai Hamvarach leolam va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Hamavarach leolam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bahar banu mikol ha'amim v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten ha'Torah.
Amen.
Ki kol hanefesh asher lo te'uneh be'etzem hayom hazeh v'nikreta me'ameha v'hol hanefesh asher ta'aseh kol malacha be'etzem hayom hazeh v'havadati et hanefesh hahi mikerev amah kol malacha lo ta'asu Birkat Olam Ledorotehem Behol Moshvotehem Shabbat Shabbaton Hu Lachem V'initem et Nafshotehem Betisha Lahodesh Ba'erev Me'erev Ad Erev Tishbetu Shabbaten.
Beautiful job. And now the blessing after.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torah emet v'hayei olam nata betoheinu Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. Yashakach to you, Celia. And if you can stay there along with your parents, we're going to invite up your cousin Ian to come forward to help dress the Torah. And we like everyone to rise as we sing together the words of our tradition, V'zot HaTorah. V'zot HaTorah asher sam Moshe lifnei bnei Yisrael al pi Adonai beyad Moshe. Yala rai 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 yai rai 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 yai rai 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 yai rai 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 yai rai 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 rai.
And now we're excited to hear Celia's own personal words, her reflection on this day and the portion from which she read. Thank you, Celia. Go ahead.
My Torah portion is in the book of Leviticus. This part of the Torah discusses God's laws for the Jewish people. These rules include that we should leave food for people who are less fortunate than we are, make sure to be clean, follow certain guidelines for animal sacrifices, observe Shabbat by working on all days except for Saturday, which is the day of rest. My Torah portion also talks about the Jewish holidays Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur. It explains that the 10th day of the 7th month is the Day of Atonement. On that day, you should think about what you have done that year and ask for forgiveness for your faults and selfish acts during the last 12 months. My Torah portion describes what you should and should not do during these holidays. One of the best-known passages from my Torah portion is this one. And when you reap the harvest of your land, you shall not reap all the way to the edges of your field or gather the gleanings of your harvest. You shall leave it for the poor and the stranger. I, Adonai, am your God. This passage means that when a farmer was to gather their crops, they shouldn't go all the way to the edge. This would leave some food for people who need it. This is important in anything and not just farming because you never know who might come by and need something. In all parts of life, you should be generous and not hoard things that you don't need when others really need them. This part of my Torah portion is especially connected to my service project. I am working with a nonprofit organization called Clothesline for Arlington Kids. This is a group that allows people to donate their gently used clothing for people in need. I think it's really important to leave things for the less fortunate people because in the event that you have more than enough and someone has not enough, you can give them things that are not necessary for yourself. There are also a lot of people in our society who do not have enough and a lot of people who have more than enough and do not help those in need. This is a very important thing to live by because in Judaism, you are supposed to treat others with kindness. The Torah says that we are all created in the image of God. Here are some examples of showing respect and kindness in daily life. Giving a homeless person money to buy things that they need, like food and water, or something like tipping a service worker because they don't get paid very much. You have to put other people before yourself, especially if they're in need of basic necessities that you already have. Now, a little more about my service project, Clothesline. Inspired by a new model of philanthropy that has already benefited families in need across the country, the Clothesline is Arlington's first free clothing store dedicated to school-aged children. With the generous donation of new and gently used clothing from Arlington residents and businesses, the Clothesline provides a welcoming, fun, retail-like environment for low-income families to shop and select a season's worth of quality clothing, twice a year, completely free. Staffed and supported by local volunteers, the Clothesline represents Arlington at its best. There are many people who I'd like to thank for helping me get here today. Those people include all of my tutors, Sylvia Chongus, Annie Bornstein, and the one who got me through to the end, Aslyn Cohen. I would also like to thank Rabbi Bernstein for helping me with the speech you're hearing right now, Rabbi Schwartzman and Cantor Shockett, and the rest of the clergy for their support during this long, difficult, but joyful process. Thank you to my siblings for not being too annoying, and thank you to my parents for nagging me to practice my Hebrew. I would not be here without you, literally. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom, Celia, and Mazal Tov. Yes, you should sit down. You have done a great job. You deserve, on Shabbat, to rest, right? As you read in your Torah portion a little bit about Shabbat as well. Celia, I get to be the first of what will surely be so many people here in the room and many people on the live stream and on Zoom to say to you, Mazal Tov, congratulations for all the achievements of today. You led us so beautifully in the service. I loved the way you chanted the initial prayers that were in your section of the service. You chanted the Torah, and you looked into this Torah portion and you immediately sort of went right to what I agree with you to be the most important verse of the parasha, and you connected it not only to yourself, but inspired us for us to live that out as well. As you heard in the introduction, this Torah portion is a lot about the assignment of holidays, right? Celia, you told us about how we had Rosh Hashanah in there, Yom Kippur, there's Passover, Sukkot, all the Jewish holidays, of which there are many throughout the year, are in this Torah portion. They come before you started reading, and they come after you started reading. You continue to read, you're reading. And right in the middle is that sentence that you just shine that spotlight on about the corners of your field. And you talked about it with such clarity. In ancient times, the farmer would leave the edges of his or her field so that people who needed food could just come. They didn't have to knock on the door and say, hey, by the way, do you have a few extra ears of corn that I could have? They didn't have to out themselves as people in poverty. They could just come right to the edge of the field, perhaps when the farmer and his or her family were finished in the field, and take what was needed. And what you did for us, Celia, was you gave us a model that this isn't just about farmers, right? This is about any of us. All of us have the equivalent of a harvest. All of us have worked and gained something from our work. And Judaism puts forth this idea that you don't need it all. That's what you said, right? You don't need to hoard it all, that you can leave some for others, and not just leave it for them, but leave it for them in a way that preserves their dignity. Now, as I was looking at the portion this morning, getting ready for our service, there was a question that I read that the rabbis asked this question. I'm going to put it out there for all of us to consider. Why is this statement about sort of leaving the corners of your field and taking care of others inserted right in the middle of all these holidays, including the holiday of Shabbat? The rabbis suggest that it's difficult for all of us to remember to kind of do the right thing all the time. And the Jewish holidays are actually places that hold Jewish values. When we're celebrating Passover, which we just did, we raise up the issue of freedom, that all people should have equal rights, equal opportunity to be successful in the world. When we celebrate the holiday of Sukkot with the sukkah, we think about people who live without homes when we live outside without homes. Here's the message. You want to try to figure out how to remember to do the right thing all the time? Each holiday holds in it a Jewish value. And so we connect to the ideas like the corners of the field when we observe every holiday, including Shabbat, which tells us to reflect on what we have, to stop controlling the world and appreciate the creation of the world. This message that you just shone a spotlight on so clearly is so important, but it's not easy to live it out every day in your life. every week, every year. And I just want to say to all of us who are connected to the Jewish tradition that if you're looking for a way to be reminded all the time about these values, doing what is right, just follow the holiday cycle. That's what's being told to us, including Shabbat, which is once every week where we have a chance to step away from activities and focus on values. And perhaps the most important value of Judaism is the only one that's really shouted out in your section, taking care of people in need. I love the Clothesline Project. I'm going to look that up. I think that's great. I live in McLean, not far from Arlington, but I want to support a project like that, just like you did, Celia. Thank you for doing that. And I hope that as you go forward in your life, you will continue to raise up and support those people who need help in our society, and to do it in a way that's dignified and respectful. And that's the idea of that commandment. And if you need help remembering to do this, just follow our calendar and observe our holidays, including today, Shabbat. I know that if you, Celia, continue on this path, if you follow the words that are in your own speech, that you will indeed, as you already have, bring many blessings to our community, to the community outside of the temple family and beyond. Cantor Shaket and I, on behalf of all the clergy, hope and pray that you will indeed have many moments to raise up goodness and kindness in the world and be a blessing. And we want to thank you for the blessing you've been to us today. And we want to bestow a blessing upon you that sends you out as an adult in the Jewish community to continue to be a blessing. So Celia, I'd invite you to come and stand at the edge of the bima here with your sister Maya, with your sister Dina, and your mom and dad. As all of you come, we wish your brother Jacob were here too. He's online. We wave to him. Hello. And if you guys come here and face the ark, we have a blessing for all of you. And ladies, you can remove your masks if you want.
Yivarechecha Adonai ve'yishmerecha.
Celia, may God bless you and may God keep you.
Yair Adonai panav elecha v'chuneka.
As you have shown so beautifully upon your family and our congregation today, may God shine upon you as you go forward to the next many chapters of your life.
Yisa Adonai panav elecha v'yasem lecha.
And may God grant you all the things that you want, that you need, and that you deserve. And most importantly, shalom, wholeness that you feel inside of you, wholeness that you share with this family, and wholeness and peace that you bring into our world through your gifts. And let us all say,
Amen.
Amen.
Stay here for a song. May your eyes shine with the light of Torah, and your face be radiant as the brightness of the sky. May your lips speak words of wisdom, and may the world you live in be the world of your dreams. May you be blessed with understanding, with wisdom and compassion in your heart. May your tongue be filled with song and your lips sing out for justice. These are the prayers we have for you. May your eyes shine with the light of Torah, and your face be radiant as the brightness of the sky. May your lips speak words of wisdom, and may the world you live in be the world of your dreams. May the world you live in be the world of your dreams. And now we're going to continue with our concluding prayers, starting with the Aleinu. I can invite everyone to rise to join you, and you guys can actually go back to your seats, but stay standing as we turn to page 282, and chant together the words of Aleinu. Aleinu l'shabeach la'adon ha'kol, la'teit gedula liotzer breshit, shehu noteh shamayim v'yoser aretz, ומושב יקרו בשמיים ממעל, ושכינת עוזו בגבהי מרומים, הוא אלוהינו אין עוד. ואנחנו קוראים, ומשתחווים ומודים, לפני מלך מלכי המלכים, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. V'nemar v'haya Adonai lemelech al kol haaretz bayom ha'u yeh Adonai echad Ushemo echad.
Won't you remain standing for a few more moments as we take some time to recite our mourner's prayer? We are grateful, Celia, that you are surrounded by a wonderful full family, including all four of your grandparents. I'm sure there are other people, though, whom you remember on this day, very much loved family members who are no longer with your family. And we think also of the members of the Temple Road of Shalom family, whose yahrzeits are observed on this Shabbat. We turn to page 294 to join mourners at home or here as we recite Kaddish Yatom together. Yitkadal v'yikadash shemei rabbah, v'yalma divrach hirutei v'yamlich malchutei, v'chayechon uv'yomechon uv'chaye d'chol Beit Yisrael, ba'agala uv'izman kari v'imru amen. Yehi shmei rabba mevarach leolam omei omaya, yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh, V'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shemei d'kudisha birchu. Le'olam mimkol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechemata, da'al miran be'alma v'imeru amen. Yehi shlama rabba min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'imromav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. May the source of peace send peace and comfort and strength and love to all who mourn, to everyone who is grieving here and everywhere. And let us say, Amen. Won't you please be seated?
Celia, mazel tov to you on behalf of the rest of the clergy team and the congregation. We have some gifts for you. First of all, I want to, I'll give you your certificate, which is a beautiful certificate made by a member of our congregation, and I hope that you proudly display this in your room, and when you look at it, you remember this special moment in your life, signed by Rabbi Schwartzen, myself, and our executive director. In addition, in this bag of gifts, we have a copy of our Reform Movement's home prayer book, courtesy of the women of TRS, and then some gift certificates. One is from NIFTY, the North American Federation of Temple Youth, which is a certificate towards travel in Israel during your high school years, along with a gift certificate from our youth committee and Tristy, plus a travel mug. Probably the best part of the gift there is the travel mug. And then also your own Kiddush mug, a Kiddush cup from the clergy team that we give to you in celebration of this day, and hope that you will use it each Shabbat as you continue to celebrate your Jewish life. So Mazel tov to you. Congratulations. Mazel tov and congratulations and Shabbat Shalom to all of you who are in the sanctuary, to all of you watching on the streaming, and to all of you on Zoom. For those of you on Zoom, our service, after our service concludes in just a few moments, please stay on the Zoom as the Anbinders will go into our social hall where there'll be another computer there. They can talk with you, and you can, say all those words of Mazel Tov to Celia at that time. And I hope that you'll all be able to join us again when we can share more simchas together. So we conclude our service with the singing of Ein Kelohenu. It's page 322 in your prayer book, page 322. Please rise and remain standing for our final best blessing. Ein Kelohenu, Ein Kadonenu, Ein Kel Malkeinu, Ein Kemoshienu, Mi Eloheinu, Mi Adonenu, Mi Chel Malkeinu, Mi Kemoshienu, Nodel Eloheinu, Nodel Adonenu, Nodel El Malkeinu, Nodel Moshienu, Baruch Eloheinu, Baruch Adonenu, Baruch Malkeinu, Baruch Moshienu, Atahu Eloheinu, Atahu Adonenu, Atahu Malkeinu, Atahu Moshienu.
Inspired this morning by the words and actions of you, Celia, may all of us go forth from this Shabbat, making the world a better place in our own way, farming our field but leaving some for others, caring about those who live on the edges of society and making space for them in our realm and supporting them so they can be completely part of our community. Celia, you've been an inspiration for us. May we go forth to do good. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.